Come with Duke and I to Land Between the Lakes as we go to Turkey Bay OHV. This is Jeeping Mo. We decided to go down to Land Between the Lakes to go see Turkey Bay OHV. It's a good place to go riding, plenty of good trails, anything from mild to wild, and so much more. So follow us as we go through Turkey Bay. There are trail systems all throughout the peninsula that's land between the lakes. You'll see here in Gaia it shows all the forestry roads that are all over the peninsula. So if you don't want to go to Turkey Bay, you can stay on the forestry roads and ride to your heart's content. That's going to be our next plans as we go down there and actually do just forestry roads. Today we strictly did Turkey Bay OHV, but I think that next time there's going to be some really nice trail riding just doing forestry. So as usual, we were running Gaia as we were going through the trails, and the nice thing about using Gaia is it leaves you breadcrumbs all over the trail in case you have to backtrack. Now as you pull into Turkey Bay, if you have a IENZA loaded, they have a QR code there that you can scan, and the map they give you will pull up in there, and it's all color coded. Their trails are green, yellow, and I believe orange, and there are blue trails as well. The blue trails are almost strictly for buggies and side-by-sides. We looked at a few of those trails, and yeah, they were pretty extreme. But in Gaia, all the trails are just obviously one color. So if you go there, load a IENZA, and that way when you hit the QR code, it'll actually give you all of the trails in color-coded format. It'll be a big help to you. So we thought we had most of our glare issues taken care of. We had bought a set of polarized lenses, and while it took care of, I would say, 90+% of the glare coming off the window, every now and then you'll catch a little bit. And I need to get a few more polarized lenses for the little cameras I put out and about to drive past. That way everything's got the right shading. So we're still working on some of the glare issues. I think the polarizing took care of a bulk of it, but we still have a little bit of work left to do. There's a lot of steep hills all over the park, just like the one we just came up. The video really doesn't let you appreciate how steep some of these hills really are. In the future I'll have to get some shots from the side. It's not that they're unmanageable, but it's not real flat either. And there are other hills through there that we started to go up, and it was so vertical that we waved off because there's no way to turn around either, and I don't need to wreck the Jeep that I got to drive home in. So this is July 5th. Now we headed down there on the 4th, but didn't actually run the trail until the 5th. And when we pulled in, there was plenty of Jeeps still sitting there with axles that have to go back in. You can see there was a lot of carnage from the trail, so I would imagine this place was quite busy on the 4th. I know when we were pulling in, or at least getting to the park, there was a ton of big rigs coming out of there. Now all throughout the park, at least in the front half that runs alongside Kentucky Lake, there are a lot of dispersed camping areas, so you can actually come into certain parts of the park. There was some 30+ foot rigs sitting in there, and they were all sitting there along the shore, and they're parked, and their trailers and everything was out running at that point. So The one thing nice about this, the whole area, I should say the whole peninsula, is all park ran, and it's very well taken care of. So if you want to come down and bring your big toy hauler or your camping trailer or your big RV, there are spots here that you can park and then go riding. So this was a family that was going around there with their four-wheelers and their side-by-side, and there was quite a few of them, and I think they were being escorted by that sheriff's department rig that was right behind them. I guess he was making sure that they were getting through it safe, okay, because there was some little ones with them. But the other nice part about that is I seen the sheriff department rig a couple times through there, which is nice, you know, if you got a family out there, you know, make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to, and if you break down, you can lend some help there as well. So there's a lot of benefits to go into a park that's well managed like this. So we made a big loop around the park. We were trying to see some of the areas, and we stuck to some of the green and yellow trails as we went around there. We did get off on a couple of the secondary roads, which were orange, and we did back off a couple of those. In one spot, it was a 5-foot drop off on one side of the Jeep, and well, I didn't feel like rolling that day, so we backed off of that. And that was one thing nice about having Gaia. It kind of led me back around it because I was on the nice section of the trail. But Turkey Bay they have plenty of trails there for you. So if you really want to get into some of the really wild trails, they'll oblige you there. And there's plenty of. This was a fairly dry day, but if you went down in some areas, since you're right along the Kentucky River, there was a fair amount of mud if that's what you were looking for as well. So if you want rock climbing, they have that. If you just want to do some, I'm going to say overland type trails, which is really what we were there for, they have that. You have side-by-sides and buggies. If you really want to push the Jeep, you know, have at it. They have that too. There's a lot to offer everybody. So it was $20 to get in, and I think it's well worth it. So hopefully you go and you can tell me what you think about it. As I was going through it, I found a lot of similarities between Turkey Bay and Vandy's that we go to periodically. The one thing nice about Turkey Bay, I didn't get no pinstriping from it, so that's a plus. But it's a nice drive as you go through there. And like I said, next time we go down, we will probably do more of the forestry roads, just to see that the whole peninsula is covered in forestry, and they don't charge you to ride those. So you can just come in and just duck down some of those forestry roads and see what you can find. We made our way down to Kentucky Lake. I let Duke get out for a little bit, stretch his legs, play in the water a little bit, do what he has to do. And then we eventually headed down along the coastline there of Kentucky Lake. It goes for a little while, but eventually you hit spots where it's going to be side-by-side only, but it's a beautiful area. Make sure you join us next week for part 2 of Turkey Bay OHV as we finish the trails and show you around the park a little more. Until then, this is Jeeping Mo. Thanks for coming along with us.